The first time I noticed something was wrong, I told myself it was paranoia. My wife Clara had always been the kind of person who thrived on attention, but lately her laughter felt rehearsed, her smiles reserved for strangers. We'd been married for 12 years, built a life in a quiet Connecticut suburb where the neighbors knew us as the couple who hosted flawless summer barbecues and donated generously to the school fundraisers. Clara ran a boutique interior design firm, while I managed a chain of eco-friendly car washes, a business AITA grown from a single location to 17 across 3 states. Success had become our shared language, but somewhere along the way we'd stopped speaking it to each other. It started with her late nights, client meetings, she'd say, her voice breezy, as if the words weren't sharp enough to cut through the silence between us. Her phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, now never left her purse. One evening, while she showered, I opened her laptop to print a document for her. A favor, I told myself. The screen flickered to life, and there it was, an open email thread with a man named Elias Carter. The subject line read Venice itinerary, and the dates coincided with her upcoming work retreat. My hands trembled as I scanned the details. Private gondola dinners, a suite at the gritty palace, a confirmation for 2. I closed the laptop, my throat tight, and poured myself a whiskey. When she emerged from the shower, humming, I asked about the retreat. She didn't hesitate. "Just me and the team," she said, toweling her hair. "We need to brainstorm away from distractions." I hired an investigator the next day. His report arrived a week later. Photos of Clara and Elias holding hands outside a midtown hotel, receipts from jewelry stores, a lease agreement for an apartment in the city. Elias was her business partner, a man I'd met once at a charity gala. Charismatic, with the polished grin of someone who'd never been told no. The investigator included a note. "They've been discreet. No one at her firm suspects a thing." I read it twice, then locked the folder in my office safe. That night I sat in the dark of our bedroom, watching Clara sleep. Her face, softened by moonlight, looked like the woman I'd married. The one who'd once driven 6 hours to surprise me with a picnic on our anniversary. Now every breath she took felt like a theft. I didn't wake her. Instead, I began to plan. The key was patience. I transferred half our liquid assets into a private offshore account, slowly, over months, disguising the withdrawals as business investments. I reached out to a forensic accountant, a discreet man named Victor, who uncovered irregularities in Clara's company books, inflated invoices, phantom contractors, a trail of embezzlement leading straight to Elias. I said nothing. Let them grow complacent. Let them believe their lies were airtight. Meanwhile, I revived an old hobby, woodworking. I spent weekends in the garage crafting an ornate jewelry box from black walnut, the kind Clara had always admired. She'd comment on the smell of sawdust clinging to my clothes, her tone light, but her eyes narrowed, as if she sensed the calculation beneath the sweat and sawdust. I'd smile and tell her it was a gift for her birthday. By the time her retreat to Venice arrived, I was ready. The night before her flight, I handed her the jewelry box. "Open it when you're there," I said. She kissed my cheek, her lips cold, and promised to FaceTime from the gondola. Clara's betrayal became public on a Tuesday. While she was sipping Prosecco on the Grand Canal, I met with her firm's board of directors. I handed them Victor's report, along with screenshots of emails between Clara and Elias, discussing the embezzlement. The room turned to ice. "We'll pursue legal action immediately," the chairman said, his voice shaking with rage. I nodded, feigning shock. "I had no idea it was this bad," I lied. The next morning, the story broke in the Wall Street Journal. Prominent designer implicated in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. Clara's face, flushed with champagne in a paparazzi photo from Venice, splashed across every news outlet. Her phone rang incessantly, clients, reporters, lawyers, but she was still airborne, blissfully unaware. I blocked her number. When her plane landed, chaos followed. Elias, panicking, drained their shared accounts and fled to Belize, leaving Clara to face the storm alone. The IRS froze her assets. The firm sued. By the time she returned, haggard and tear-streaked, our home was empty. I'd moved everything, the furniture, the art, even the light fixtures, into storage. She found me in the garage, sanding the edges of a new project, a coffin-sized crate. "How could you?" she screamed, her mascara bleeding into the lines around her eyes. I set down the sander and handed her an envelope. Inside was a deed to the apartment she'd rented with Elias, now transferred to her name alone, along with a divorce petition. "You'll need a place to live," I said. "The rent's paid through next month." She lunged at me, but I stepped aside, watching her stumble into the half-built crate. "You'll regret this," she hissed. I almost pitied her then. She still didn't understand. Regret was a luxury I'd sold long ago. The final act required precision. Clara, desperate and bankrupt, took a job at a discount furniture chain. I visited her once, lingering in the aisle as she straightened throw pillows. She didn't see me. Her hands, once manicured and steady, shook as she adjusted price tags. A month later, I donated her remaining jewelry, the pieces Elias hadn't pawned, to a charity auction. The proceeds funded a scholarship in my name at the design school she dropped out of to marry me. The irony was exquisite, but the true masterpiece came later. Over years, I'd cultivated a relationship with Clara's estranged father, a retired judge in Vermont. He'd disowned her after the scandal, but I sent him updates, photos of her decline, news clippings, the court filings. When he died, his will left everything to a nature preserve, except for one item, a sealed letter to Clara. I delivered it myself. She opened it in the lobby of her apartment building, her breath fogging the glass doors. The letter contained a single sentence. "You chose a thief over your blood. Rot in your consequences." Her scream echoed through the marble foyer. I sold the Connecticut house and moved to a coastal town in Maine. The locals know me as the quiet man who builds wooden boats, each one christened with a name I never explain. The latest is a sleek schooner. Its hull stained the deep black of walnut. Sometimes at dusk, I take it out to sea and scatter a handful of ash, not Clara's, but the remnants of the person I used to be. The waves carry them away, and I return to shore, lighter each time. Clara's last Instagram post, before her account vanished, was a blurry photo of a Venice gondola at sunset. The caption read, "Some mistakes drown you." I didn't like it. Too melodramatic, too ordinary. I preferred to think of her in that empty apartment, listening to the echo of her own choices, forever waiting for a forgiveness that will never dock.